Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to our latest webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly as part of our Roadmap to Recovery series. And I am absolutely delighted to be joined today by Issam Kazim, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Dubai Corporation of Tourism and Commerce Marketing. So welcome, Issam. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm doing well and excited to be on this call with you.
Well, we are very happy to have you. And of course, you're just coming off the back of Arabian Travel Market, the first travel trade show to be held live since the lockdown. Just how did that go for you? Was it successful?
It was very successful. And this is not just from a perspective of me as representing Dubai Tourism, but this also on behalf of all the participants, our co-parts who join us on our stand, and also seeing everyone excited to be able to finally meet face-to-face while feeling safe and feeling secure. I think it was a very proud and exciting moment for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we had some of our colleagues there. I mean, of course, Brits can't travel to Dubai at the moment without coming home and having to do the hotel quarantining. So that's very frustrating, I'm sure, both for you, for us, but we'll come on to that. But whilst we're just talking about trade shows, of course, Dubai Expo had to be delayed, but it is due to take place this October, running through to March. So can you update us on your plans for that? How many countries you've got involved? What, is it as you planned before, or is there slight changes? What can we expect?
So far, from what I understand from our colleagues who we work very closely with at Expo, that things are well underway. They're pushing forward as planned. And as you mentioned, it's the only shift has happened is that from 2020 it has moved to 2021. It'll start off right at the beginning of October, go all the way through to the end of March. They have many things planned up, and of course, as they've announced previously, it's going to have the biggest or the largest participation in terms of country pavilions. Many of them have already progressed quite a lot, as you can imagine, and have had different launch events as well. So there are many exciting things that are being planned as part of the program as well. They've promised to have at least one event every day for the period of 6 months, and this includes business events as well as leisure events. So it is truly an event that's going to be targeting all demographics, all age groups, and there will definitely be something for everyone.
Yeah, and I think you were targeting about 25 million visitors during that period, which would be phenomenal, wouldn't it?
Yes, I think in terms of the number of visits, what's exciting about that is that you have the targeted audience that we're attracting from abroad, who are literally going to attend for the purpose of the event. But we also have a huge catchment of, I would say, resident population which make up about 80% of the total population of Dubai and the UAE, that are representing about 200 different nationalities. So each one of them will also play a big role in attracting their friends and relatives to come to Dubai during these 6 months and also enjoy what the Expo has to offer.
Yeah, and of course you've been not resting on your laurels in terms of getting everything ready for this influx of visitors. I mean, you've got new attractions, continued investment in hotels, and as you mentioned there, events. So perhaps you can give us an update on the investment that's been continuing despite the pandemic.
Of course, I think for those of you who are well aware of the Dubai way of doing things, we always want to make sure that there is a strong infrastructure that's being built, not just for any event, but it is about the sustainable tourism growth that we're after. And after all, Dubai has never really relied on oil, and tourism was the key contributor to the GDP, and it'll continue to be so as well, as it is part of our future plans going forward, as it was announced by the leadership here as well. So I think with that in mind, you can see that the strategy, when it was launched in 2013, it clearly talked about not just the 6 or 7 traditionally strong markets in attracting tourists from, but we are still strong in those, but we added more and more markets as we went along. So if you look at 2019, we were active in more than 50 markets with our campaigns and our reach. We had closed off 2019 with 16.7+ million tourists, wow, making it a very strong number 4 in terms of the most attractive cities globally in terms of number of visitors internationally. We also have the busiest airport in the world, so we have no excuse to make sure that we're leveraging it as much as possible. We had over 90 million passengers traveling through Dubai airports in 2019. We even started off 2020, January and February, with record numbers, with another 4.2% growth compared to the same period of time for the previous year. So everything has started well, but the lockdown, of course, gave us a chance to look at safety and security in a new light, because UAE has always been amongst the top 3 destinations globally in terms of a country, in terms of safety. But COVID, of course, added another element to that safety message, and we ensured that we have very strict policies and procedures in place. So we were one of the first, if not the first, to lock down, complete lockdown. And the way that the government put those measures in place was to ensure that even people who were gonna go out and about during the curfew would be only for emergency reasons. There was an app that was immediately launched that people would register their car plate numbers, the reason why they're leaving, and they will receive a message telling them that they've been allocated that window to go out. And so it was done very, very well. And at the same time, in true Dubai character and personality, we were working on those new policies and procedures for a quick opening up again, because life must go on. Even it'll be a new norm, but it has to go on. Businesses need to get back. People need to go back to work in whatever way we can, while making sure that everyone's safe. So in May, what we did was we put a lot of these things into play, and we were able to open for domestic tourists. And we also made it very tight, much stricter than usual, just so that we can really start to open up slowly to see what level of balance that we can get between business and safety. Once we got that measure right and things were running smoothly, we then opened up in July for global tourists, right? And once international tourists came in, July was around 40,000 tourists. And if you compare that to March of 2021, we had around 450,000+ visitors. So it's like more than tenfold. So a lot of these measures have been put into place. A lot of them are being still studied and analyzed on a regular basis. We got awarded the Safe Destination stamp by the World Travel and Tourism Council. We launched our own Dubai Assured program, which means within a window of 2 weeks, there will be spot visits from the different inspectors to all of the different entities and touch points that tourists and residents would be visiting, to ensure that these guys are still practicing it. So you don't just get the stamp once, but you need to maintain.
Yeah, they're going to keep coming back and visiting you to check that you're doing everything correctly.
Absolutely, because again, we don't take safety lightly. And in true Dubai spirit, we've also opened up several hotels, as you mentioned. So there's a Hotel Indigo that opened up recently, as well as the SLS Hotel and Residence, which SLS is a brand that many people are familiar with. We also didn't forget the budget side, because when the strategy was announced, we knew that people are very well aware of Dubai's high-end offering, but it always gave people the misconception that, you know, Dubai only caters to a certain budget. But no, Dubai actually has something to offer for anyone, for any budget, right? So we made a very active push towards increasing the number of hotel properties and options that would be available to people in across the city. So Rove is one of the hotels that was launched as a local product and has been quite successful. Beautiful rooms, really, really well fitted out, and in key locations within the city. And the Rove hotels, on average, their prices go below $100. So it's really, really nice. Beach properties as well. We've added Rove on the beach, as well as some luxury hotels added to that ongoing demand and increasing demand for hotel properties. And if you look at the attractions perspective, we have the Museum of the Future, which the building in itself is something to be experienced, but let alone the experiences from within that. Time Out Market, gastronomy is something we've been talking about for quite some time. So Time Out Market is literally a cool, trendy food court, but in an amazing location with different restaurants with amazing experiences. So it's something that's new, but it's absolutely packed within the COVID, as packed as COVID restrictions can allow. So people can actually enjoy an amazing atmosphere. And the good thing is, you feel safe as soon as you enter any of these venues, knowing that everyone's masked up, the way the sanitization is done, every time they turn over a table, how these measures are being put into place. So you feel safe and secure. But once at your table, you can take your mask off and really enjoy the experience there.
I think that was going to be my next question, because obviously you've talked us through how strict you were at first, but how you've been opening up because, you know, things have to keep going. So if I was to come, I know we can't, but if I was to come now, what would it feel like as a tourist? You know, obviously there's still mask wearing in certain areas, there's still social distancing restrictions in places there. How does it work? What would be the experience that I would have as a tourist?
To be honest, I think for most people, when they come from different places, they are pleasantly surprised about how immediately they feel safe. The sanitization processes, how they have hand sanitizers almost everywhere you go. The masks are worn everywhere. Everyone's wearing masks, and it's become part and parcel of your everyday.
Right.
Well, for me, I wear the headgear, and I remember to put the mask on at the same time as well. So, but the minute you get to a place where, let's say you've reserved a table at the restaurant with your friends, as soon as you get to the table, the masks are off, and you're sitting amongst your friends and family. But the minute you're gonna move around to go to, let's say, the restroom or anywhere else, you put the mask back on, and then as soon as you get back to the table, you remove the mask again. And it's very natural. It's become very normal, and everyone is absolutely fine with it because they feel that they can at least go back and about with their life as normal as they can.
That's very similar to how it is now in the UK. What about the beaches? If you were going on the beach, is the mask wearing there?
Yes, again, when you're walking to and from your loungers and so on and so forth, yes. But once you're within the lounging space and within your own group, you're absolutely fine to remove them. And of course, when you're in the water, you don't need the mask, because again, they're monitoring the distancing as well. As long as there is a conscious effort to maintain safe distancing, everyone's going to be fine with it, and nobody's going to be bothering you. And the self-policing is the thing that's key here. You'll see that most of the people, again, all the different nationalities who are following the exact same policies here, if you by chance forget the mask, let's say, and you lower the mask to drink water, whatever, and you forget it there, someone walking next to you will remind you that, can you please lift the mask up again? And it's just so natural.
Fine. All right. Well, that sounds good. And of course, Dubai is so known for amazing events. So how are they going to restart? Will you be requiring negative tests for people to join certain events, or how will that work?
Well, there are different procedures and processes that have been put in place for that as well. So as I said, when the lockdown had happened and in May we opened for domestic tourism, we had already started events at that point in time. But again, much stricter than it even is today, because it gave us a chance to understand what are the ideal measures that need to be there. And so since then, we've been able to create a lot of business events that have gone on and quite successfully. And we're always surveying the people, especially those who are visiting Dubai and the UAE, to attend those events, to find out what they felt. And it's been, honestly, the amount of responses that we've gotten that are positive are well above 98% in terms of not only being happy with the event, but definitely would visit Dubai again for an event as well. So those are the kind of feedback that we're getting. ATM, of course, being the last one that we've just had. There are many more that are in the pipeline, but also from a leisure event. We've been having a lot of these comedy shows that have been taking place in Dubai as well. But the difference is where we are now making sure that once we sell the tickets, for example, you can buy a ticket for up to, let's say, a group of 5 or 6 people, and you can be next to each other, but then there will be a gap of a few seats before the next group or next couple or next individual will be seated. So there are these measures which, again, have started to feel very natural now. And I think would be the norm, at least for the short to medium term.
Yeah.
But it's good that all these efforts that are being put into place is to get the life back to as normal way as possible.
Well, this is the point. I mean, you're talking about all these measures that you've taken. You're taking it extremely seriously, and yet, the frustration was we still can't come because Dubai is still on the red list for Brits. And I know that Paul Griffiths, the CEO of Dubai Airports, had said that actually it was not practical in terms of getting life back to normal, that the phrase that you've just used. So is there a frustration there, Issam, that you've done all this work and yet Brits are still unable to come without quarantining on return?
Now you're talking to me and I have my tourism hat on and with my KPIs and my responsibilities. So I'll tell you, yes, definitely there is that frustration. But I think, look, I mean, at the end of the day, everyone is doing it for the right reasons. Everyone is trying to ensure that they remain as safe as possible for their people and for their responsibilities that they have. What I can definitely say is we are confident of the measure that we have in place, to the extent where even if you look at Emirates Airlines, Fly Dubai, Etihad, all of them have also started to offer COVID insurance as well for people to at least give them the peace of mind, you know, when they come to Dubai. And as I said, World Travel and Tourism Council have also recognized the efforts that we put into place, and we have not rested there. We've literally launched our own Dubai Assure program to ensure, because we know one slip up, one mistake can actually have a much bigger negative impact to recover from than everything else that we've done. So we don't take this lightly. We have never taken the safety and well-being of all those who reside in Dubai and also who visit Dubai. We've never taken that lightly. So for us, it's very, very important and continues to be so. I think now it's more of a GTG level conversation that's happening at this point in time. We've also presented the case very clearly. We've also presented everything that we've done, all the measures that we have in place. And I know that also from a UK perspective, they've been very candid, and they said that it's not about Dubai in general that the issue was. It was more about the transit and so on. And I think there are different ways for that to be tackled. And I don't think that we should stop tourists who are looking forward to visiting Dubai from visiting. And of course, from our side, UK was our number 3 markets when things were pre-COVID. And right now, it's not that they've dropped off that much. It's dropped to number 5 for us. But still, it's not where it was. And
you want it back at number 3, presumably.
Absolutely, and growing as well. So, so we're doing everything that we can from our side to remain top of mind, and also to make sure that the individuals know of everything that we've done, so they feel absolutely at ease to know that the minute it's green, they're back to Dubai.
Yeah, well, hopefully this recording will help with that. And you mentioned the transit, you know, the hub. I mean, that is a key thing because you have millions of people coming through Dubai. So you said you've got ways of working with that. Can you update us on that? Because I think you're right. That might be the concern, because obviously there's people coming in from all over the place.
I think from a measures perspective, it's more about the destination, the end destination that the countries will be concerned with. Like for us, for example, we know that when it comes to the testing and the PCR and so on and so forth, we are amongst the most in terms of tests conducted per capita. Same thing when it came to the rolling out of the vaccination. Well, we're amongst the highest in the world.
Yeah. I think the last thing I said, it was like 60% of your population, and it's probably changed since I looked at those figures. It's probably even higher.
It's growing on a I wouldn't even say daily basis, probably hourly basis. And so for us, those two things are very, very important, and we know that they'll play a key role. And even amongst the first batches that were part of the program were airline staff, were frontline workers, as including, and in the second round of that were the hotel staff and so on, who are interacting with people on a regular basis. So it was done very systematically, very well organized to ensure that, again, the public safety is kept in check. So now it's all about, I think, understanding from a GTG level. Again, this goes above my level of explaining and understanding, but it's about understanding how, if it is the destination or the key source market at the end of the day, and they are managing these things well, there shouldn't be any issues in terms of passengers traveling from one place to another for vacation or for work. Especially considering the number of expats living in Dubai who want their families to come over and visit them and vice versa. So I think that is going to be very, very important for us. But again, when it comes to the transiting aspect, I think it's more about whether the end destination actually wants to understand how the processes and protocols are within those countries and the destinations. That might be a better way, rather than the transiting point being at the mercy of those decisions that are being made.
Okay, all right, fair enough. And now let's just talk then, I mean, about your winter sun or the winter sun market, because that's key, isn't it? So are you pretty much hopeful that Brits will be back by the winter? I mean, we've got a lot of uncertainty at the moment. You know, it's not just your destination, there's not many destinations on the green list. And so there's a lot of uncertainty for the summer market. And I wonder if you're seeing then, you know, an increase in bookings from Brits who are sort of saying, oh, maybe I'll leave it this summer, but I'll be able to go to Dubai in the winter. Are you seeing any kind of uptick there?
Of course. I think, look, I mean, for us, we've been always running our campaigns in a very smart way, right? So a lot of these campaigns nowadays, as you're well aware, it's run digitally. So we kind of gauge the interests, and we also the engagement that we get from the target destinations and the targeted audience of these campaigns. So we've seen that even during lockdown, the uptake of interest in Dubai as a destination, what Dubai is doing, and so on and so forth, was quite high across the markets. And unfortunately, a lot of those from an awareness level did kind of trickle down towards the consideration, but because of the lack of opportunity to travel, it was pushed back. But we kept the interest warm, and we can see that the forward booking looks quite healthy for us towards the Q3, Q4, and Q1 2022 as well.
Yeah.
So we're confident about that. We know that again, what the product is about, what the product can offer, and also the new things that are happening in the destination is of interest. And trust me, there is a lot to be seen and experienced. So we're excited, and we're anticipating in absolute optimism that we will be able to translate those actual interest and forward booking into an actual visitation.
Yeah, well, of course, when there was a corridor announced last year between the UK and Dubai, of course, we saw this huge spike in booking. So you're right. As soon as it's allowed, people are wanting to go. So we saw that last year. And obviously travel agents who are key to getting people away to the destinations of their choice, they really jumped on the back of that. So what are your plans for the trade, Issam, to make sure that when, as you say, when it goes green, everyone can get to see you quickly, safely?
Trade have always been key partners for us. So we work very, very closely with the key stakeholders locally on the ground to ensure that we have the right product with the right pricing presented to the right target audiences at the right time. And trade play an integral role within that dialogue and that conversation as well. So we have a very strong relationship already with most of the big players within the market. And we're always open to even further develop those relationships across the smaller ones as well. And the way that we work, we also create and we invest a lot in the assets that we're creating across the different demographics, across all of the different periods of the year. And we offer those to our partners so that it's as simple as putting their own packages across those and sharing it with their segments. So for us, we try to make it as much as we can an end-to-end foolproof model to make it much easier for them to be able to bring their clients into Dubai.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to what you said a little while ago, agents need to know it's not just luxury hotels and properties. They can sell to anyone on any budget.
100%. And I think we were it was a case of a bit of a victim of your own success to a certain degree. So a lot of the key projects in Dubai really helped put Dubai on the map. And we still have an amazing number of people who are interested in that product, right? But at the same time, it shouldn't be at the cost of the amazing experiences that one can have in Dubai across any budget. So we talk about the usual suspects of restaurants, right? The top-notch global restaurants that everyone's well aware of, and they travel the world to actually experience them. But we also have so many amazing homegrown concepts, some of which have been here for over 40 years, and a true representation of the different nationalities that live in Dubai. And I think it's very, very important that people go out and experience these because they're in completely different neighborhoods that most people are still not aware of. And they're also amazing restaurants that keep coming up, homegrown concepts that keep coming up in Dubai. Again, catering different price points and different pockets. And I think those are things that people should experience because those are the ones that you won't necessarily have a replica of anywhere else in the world. So I definitely encourage the visitors, regardless of the budget that they come in, to go out and explore the wider Dubai, to be able to experience what Dubai has to offer and truly experience this multicultural cosmopolitan that Dubai is, that is well beyond what traditionally people used to think Dubai was about.
Yeah, I mean, you make that point about, some of the iconic, buildings, the palm. I mean, you're right, it's put you on the map, but that's perhaps what people think about, and they don't think about the other side that you're talking about. And you're saying there's a breadth there, there's an education, isn't there, to make sure that we know who we should be targeting and making sure lots more
And
people
Dubai
are
has
coming out.
changed as well on that point, right? People used to think Dubai was a 2-3 day destination,
Yeah.
right? Because that's it. I've seen Burj Arab, I've seen Burj Khalifa, I've ticked the box with the palm and done. But now they realize that even 10 days, maybe 2 weeks is barely enough to be able to experience what Dubai has to offer. And if you're coming in as a best example, if you're coming as a family, right? Husband, wife, son, and a daughter, you arrive in Dubai, each one of them can have an itinerary that is so completely unique to themselves, and it will be so enriching and so fulfilling. And yet there's so much that they can do together as well. So it really does cater to everyone.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I'm so conscious of your time. We're so grateful. You've painted a wonderful picture. We can't wait for things to open up so we can come back and visit. I will be there, I hope, at some point. But thank you so much for your time today, Issam Kazim from the Dubai Corporation of Tourism and Commerce Marketing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.